Have you ever wondered how Indian cuisine, rich in its diverse flavors, transformed under British rule? This is the question we've set out to answer, embarking on a fascinating exploration of the evolution of Indian cuisine under the influence of British colonialism. Indian cuisine is a captivating tapestry woven from a multitude of cultural threads. Each region of this vast subcontinent boasts its unique culinary traditions, dictated by local produce, religious beliefs, and historical influences. The British rule, spanning nearly 2 centuries, left an indelible mark on India's culinary landscape. This period saw a remarkable fusion of Indian and British culinary styles that forever altered the way India ate. But how did this fusion come about? What were the driving forces behind this culinary metamorphosis? And most importantly, what delicious dishes were born out of this intriguing fusion of cultures? So buckle up as we take a culinary journey back in time. Before we delve into the British influence, it's essential to understand the culinary landscape of India before British colonization. India's culinary palette has always been rich and diverse, a true testament to its vibrant history and multifaceted culture. This gastronomic tapestry was woven long before the British set foot on Indian soil, with flavors and culinary traditions that were as diverse as the regions they hailed from. In the north, the Mughals left an indelible culinary mark. The royal courts were renowned for their lavish feasts, featuring a medley of aromatic biryanis, succulent kebabs, and creamy kormas. These dishes, infused with a blend of spices, nuts, and dried fruits, were not just meals, they were an art form, a celebration of the senses. Further south, the local Indian traditions held sway, showcasing the bounty of the land and sea. Rice, lentils, and a myriad of vegetables took center stage, prepared in ways that brought out their natural flavors. The coastal regions, blessed with an abundance of seafood, created dishes that were a delightful dance of tangy, spicy, and sweet notes. And then there were the Persians, who introduced India to the art of baking and the magic of sweetmeats. From the flaky samosas to the melt-in-your-mouth jalebis, these delicacies became an integral part of India's culinary repertoire. However, it wasn't just about the food. It was about the ethos of hospitality, the philosophy of Ayurveda, the spirituality of fasting, and the ritual of feasting. The Indian kitchen was, and still is, a place where traditions, customs, and beliefs simmer together, creating dishes that nourish the body, mind, and soul. This was India's culinary canvas when the British arrived, a vibrant mosaic of flavors, textures, and techniques waiting for new influences to add to its richness. With this flavorful foundation set, the British arrival was about to add another layer to this culinary mosaic. The British set foot in India in the early 17th century, marking the beginning of a new chapter in Indian culinary history. As the British East India Company established its trade posts along the coastline, the Englishmen found themselves immersed in a culture rich in flavor, spices, and culinary traditions that were far removed from their own. These initial interactions between the British and the Indian cultures were fascinating. The British, accustomed to their meat and potatoes, were introduced to a riot of spices, flavors, and a myriad of vegetarian dishes, marking their first taste of Indian cuisine. On the flip side, the Indians were introduced to a variety of new ingredients and cooking techniques by the British. The British brought with them their affinity for baking, a cooking technique relatively unknown in India then. Bread, cakes, and biscuits gradually found their way into Indian homes, with Indians adding their unique twist to these baked goods, incorporating local ingredients and flavors. Among the ingredients introduced by the British, one that stands out is tea. While tea plants were native to India, it was the British who popularized the beverage, adding a splash of milk and a spoonful of sugar to create the comforting chai that Indians are so fond of today. The British also introduced India to canned and preserved foods. This led to the creation of unique condiments and pickles that were a blend of British preservation techniques and Indian flavors. These culinary exchanges were not one-sided. The British soon developed a taste for Indian spices and flavors. They began incorporating Indian ingredients into their own dishes, leading to the creation of Anglo-Indian cuisine. Dishes like mulligatawny soup, kedgeree, and chicken tikka masala, which are now considered quintessentially British, have their roots in Indian cuisine. This rich exchange of culinary ideas, ingredients, and cooking techniques between the two cultures led to a fascinating fusion of flavors. The British influence on Indian cuisine was not merely an imposition, but rather a blending of culinary traditions that enriched the Indian food landscape. This marked the beginning of a culinary fusion that would redefine Indian cuisine. As time passed, the British influence seeped into Indian kitchens, leading to a unique fusion that we now know as Anglo-Indian cuisine. This fascinating fusion wasn't an overnight phenomenon. It was a slow and steady process that took place over centuries, as the British gradually adapted to the Indian way of life. As they embraced the local food culture, they also introduced their own culinary preferences and practices, thus giving birth to a whole new genre of food: the Anglo-Indian cuisine. One of the first dishes to emerge from this cultural confluence was the mulligatawny soup. This delightful concoction was a creative adaptation of the traditional South Indian milagutani, or pepper water. The British took a liking to this spicy soup and customized it to their taste by adding meat and vegetables. The result was a harmonious blend of Indian spices and British-style broth that became a staple in Anglo-Indian households. Another dish that exemplifies this culinary fusion is the chicken tikka masala. While chicken tikka is an age-old Indian delicacy, the idea of dousing it in a creamy tomato sauce was a British innovation. The rich, tangy gravy added a new dimension to the smoky, charcoal-grilled chicken tikka, making it a hit not just in India, but across the globe. And then there's the railway mutton curry. This dish traces its roots back to the colonial-era railway system. The British officials, while traveling by train, craved for a mutton dish that was not as spicy as traditional Indian curries. So, Indian chefs came up with a milder curry, with a hint of vinegar and tamarind to extend its shelf life during long journeys. This savory curry caught the fancy of the British and soon became a regular feature in railway canteens. These dishes are a testament to a time of cultural blend and innovation in Indian culinary history. The British rule ended in 1947, but its impact on Indian cuisine continues to this day. The culinary legacy of this epoch is a testament to the enduring power of food as a cultural touchstone. Food, a universal language, transcends borders and time, carrying with it stories of conquest, adaptation, and fusion. The British introduced new ingredients, culinary techniques, and dishes that were gradually assimilated into Indian cuisine. This cross-cultural exchange gave birth to what we now know as Anglo-Indian cuisine, a fusion that marries the robust flavors of Indian spices with the subtlety of British fare. One cannot speak of Anglo-Indian cuisine without mentioning its iconic dishes. Mulligatawny soup, a spicy concoction of lentils, vegetables, and sometimes meat, owes its existence to the British desire for soup, a course absent in traditional Indian meals. The British also fell in love with the Indian korma, but desired a milder version. This led to the creation of do pyaza, a dish characterized by its generous use of onions and minimal spices. The legacy of British influence is also evident in India's tea culture. While tea was indigenous to India, it was under the British that its cultivation was commercialized. The British habit of tea time was adopted and is now an integral part of daily life in many Indian households. In many ways, Anglo-Indian cuisine is a symbol of resilience and adaptation. It represents a time when two vastly different cultures met, clashed, and ultimately found common ground in the kitchen. This culinary fusion is a testament to the ability of food to bridge cultural divides and foster understanding. Today, Anglo-Indian cuisine is celebrated as part of the broader Indian culinary scene. It has transcended its colonial roots to become uniquely Indian, a testament to India's ability to absorb and transform outside influences while retaining its own identity. Thus, the British rule, while politically tumultuous, left an indelible mark on Indian cuisine, a testament to the power of food in shaping cultural identities. We've taken quite a flavor-filled journey through time, haven't we? We've seen how the rich tapestry of Indian cuisine, already diverse and vibrant, was further shaped by the British influence. The pre-British era, with all its culinary complexities, was just the beginning. Then came the British, introducing new ingredients and methods that sparked a gastronomic revolution. This fusion and evolution of Indian cuisine was not a simple process. It was a slow simmer, a blend of cultures and traditions, stirring together to create something truly unique. The British influence, though initially resisted, gradually seeped into Indian cooking, leaving an indelible mark on its food culture. The legacy? A cuisine that's as diverse as the country itself, carrying traces of history in every bite. From the humble chai to the intricate biryani, each dish tells a story of cultural exchange, adaptation, and resilience. So next time you savor your favorite Indian curry, remember the fascinating history that has shaped its flavor over centuries.